Hello, everyone, and welcome to Show Me the Money, the Big Game, and Fraud. And I think we all know what big game we're talking about. It's the Super Bowl. I am so excited to be joined today by Gabby and Joao, two of our incredible researchers here at Human. I'm Rosemary Cipriano. If you have watched our streams before, I am usually here talking to very smart people. I'm a senior content writer here at Human. So now to the very smart people. Gabby and Joao, please introduce yourselves, tell everyone about yourselves a little bit. And of course, in human tradition, we need to know your favorite robot. So whichever one wants to go first, go ahead.
I'll go.
Yeah.
All right. So, hi, I'm Gabby. I hacked the public transit system in Bucharest, hacked my car, hacked the internet, and then Human approached me and says, "Hey, I see that you're trying to protect the internet through your hacks. Don't you want to join us?" So I joined Human around 5 years ago, and it's been a blast ever since. So here I am at Human trying to protect the internet through the power of hacking.
Yeah, so I heard that Gabby was at Human, so then I joined. But yeah, prior to that, did myself round of penetration testing, red teaming, blue teaming as well. Then I had a chance to work in a project, reverse engineering malware, and I got a glimpse into how these bots were working, all their infrastructure, and I kind of wanted to do more about it and get into their infrastructure, trying to understand how they work and hopefully try to disrupt them. So that was one of the big reasons why I joined Human and where I am here today. Yeah.
Okay, but favorite robots?
Oh, Marvin from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Awesome.
I'm gonna pull a full nerd on this one. The robots from Adeptus Mechanicus in Warhammer 40k. Not robots, because that is something we don't talk about in the 40k universe. But yeah, blessed be the Omnissiah.
I have no idea what any of that means. Gabby, you always give me something new to think about. I'm going to have to dive into that after this. Well, thanks y'all so much for introducing yourselves. We're all coming in from different places. I'm in New York. Joao's in Portugal. We got Gabby in London. This is awesome. So early morning for me, but nice afternoon for you guys. So let us know where you guys are dialing in from if you can in the comments. Would love to know how many time zones we have here today. So let's talk about the Super Bowl, shall we? So a little over a week ago now, and it looks like, given our data, that it was actually months long leading up to it. This was a big betting year for Americans, with 1 in 4 looking to bet on the big game. However, we saw a flurry of activities from fraudsters both before and during the game. And we'll also touch on what happened afterwards as well. So let's go in chronological order here. Let's start with before the game and what you guys found behind the scenes. So what did fraudsters do this year to prepare for the Super Bowl? And just how early did they start?
I think the earliest activity is early October. They've been basically building their weapons, crafting account checkers, sourcing configs for tools like Silver Bullet, Open Bullet, and so on. And then after they were done with that, they started trying to source as much ammunition as possible, which is basically the credentials in the case of ATO. They started in October, it ramped up to a maximum in the holiday season, and then it slowly started descending in February.
Yeah, and not only that, they also got immensely blessed in January, where we saw 4 huge credential leaks happening in the web. 3 of them were all right, not at least in terms of size, but they were actual users that exist, combinations of users and passwords. So that will give you a lot of true positive cases to just test and reduce the amount of trial that they can push to one of these platforms. But the big one was one called NAS API, which had in total 1 billion credentials in total. So just before the big game, not only they had all the preparedness from the configs and credentials that Gabby mentioned, but these leaks also occurred, and they also took advantage of these leaks to conduct their fraud too.
Wow. Okay. So I think I know the answer to this, but why are getting these credentials ready so important to fraudsters?
Well, you can't start a war without getting your ammunition, right? So you need to get ready like really early. And most importantly, after you have the weapons, the ammo, and everything like that, you can get money. And we're gonna get into that later, but this is like the major advantage of being early to the game.
Yeah, and some of these credentials or these leaks were not only just username and password. They also had like addresses, phone numbers, other PII data, which will then allow you to get the money because they can fraud the bank. They can use this PII to, be part of their scheme. So it makes their attack way more efficient in general. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it sounds like the pre-game is almost as important as the game itself.
Definitely.
So many little jokes we can make about this one. So I guess, how do fraudsters monetize those stolen credentials? They got to make money off of that, right?
What we like to do is like divide them into like two categories. The easily monetizable ones, and let's say the chaff, the ones that are harder to make money of. The easily monetizable ones, it's very easy. They just cash them out. So they log in, they check the balance, they see that they've got like a lot of money inside. Some of the attackers will then instantly cash out on those accounts, drain the wallets, try to get the money into their accounts, try to purchase, in case of like shopping platform, for example, try to purchase items and send them over to their money mules. Others who like to externalize the risk will just put them on sale on various platforms, where usually, like let's say they found an account, the account has $100. That account will be placed on a dark web marketplace for sums between $5 to $20. So the cash out for an aspiring criminal would be 5x to 20x the initial price they paid for the account. The other accounts, the ones that don't have balance or the balance is meaningless, the attackers try to enrich them. So they will log in, they will try to scrape as much information as possible, like PII, credit card information, and then they will try to resell them on the same dark web marketplaces that I was telling you about.
Yeah, and that's another important part of the whole ecosystem that we have to see here with this dark web markets, is these accounts that either have low amount of money or have no money at all. They're not they have some value to them, right? The attackers can then sell this data, and there is reports and write-ups about attackers that buy this data to gain access to corporate networks. If somebody, Steve from accounting, I don't know, uses his account to bet on a website, uses the same password as whatever in his corporate email, then we have a corporate compromise right there. So these things can pass around the market, and they are still valuable regardless. Yeah.
Right. Wow. I mean, I didn't even think about that from the corporate angle of if you are reusing those passwords, then it's even easier to then go after a company then if you're using the same password. Wow. Okay. Thank you guys so much. And also for anyone watching, if you have any questions, please pop them into the chat. We'll either get to them during or after.
If I may add,
yeah.
I know at least one account where during a pen test, the red team was able to compromise the CTO, I think, with a fake Magic the Gathering website.
Oh no.
So the CTO was like big into Magic the Gathering. They posted this advert for a Black Lotus or something like that, and the guy just fell for it. Oh man, like a Black Lotus for only like $10K. That's like amazing. And he made an account on that platform using the same password he would use regular, like usually.
Wow. Okay. So, like, every time I have conversations like this, I just get more and more scared of the internet. And I'm like, I don't click on anything anymore. That's it. There's no more clicking allowed. But also, just like, it shows how, like, you know, no one's immune from this, you know, like you may be very high up at a company, know everything about technology and like still fall for it because it's not, it's so much more sophisticated than it ever was. And it's so much easier than it ever was to fall for it. It's sad that they've gotten so realistic to say the least. So let's now think about the game day itself. I don't know about you. I was eating a lot of cheese dips. There were barbecue wings. And also, if you're a marketing nerd like me, you were all about the discourse around the commercials and had to mute the game but watch the commercials. But for fraudsters, I imagine it's go time as it is for bettors. So why is the Super Bowl specifically a lucrative time for fraudsters?
Well, in general, any type of popular event, being sports event or just anything that is happening in the world right now that is popular and gains a lot of attention, you will expect some scams or some attackers trying to profit at it. It's they'll try to attach to the publicity to the event or whatever is happening and try to monetize whatever schemes they have. In the particular case of sporting events and ones as big as Super Bowl, we have this extra conditioning happening where people want to access. So there's like a need to like search for access, want to stream something, or you want some tickets. So there is this need for a black market, let's say. And on top of that, you have the side of the sports betting, where such a big game, a lot of people would be wanting to bet on. So right prior to the game, you would expect a lot of accounts to have a lot of money, or people already being more active on their checking their emails for like notifications from their betting site and stuff like that. So attackers know that people are eager to click on whatever they receive on email, and they also know that their accounts are probably pretty loaded with a couple $100 at least or something. Yeah.
And like any hype event, it's also a time when people neglect their devices. I mean, you won't be like sitting on your phone trying to check your emails while Asher is playing, right? Like that alert somebody's trying to log into your account, you might have missed it because of that excellent tackle. So it has like both sides, a technical one and the social engineering one as well, because it's a night of drinking and having fun and spending time in the real life, not on your computer.
Yeah, that is like such an excellent point, because I think we forget how real life activity impacts what happens on the internet. Well, like, yeah, maybe people are tweeting about things or whatever. There's still so much going on around you that you're not going to be checking your email to see if you got like, oh, your account has been compromised, or all your money is out of your account. Like, you're not going to see any of that. It also kind of reminds me of the holidays too, how like we talk about this a lot during, leading up to the holiday season, with bots, going after high ticket items that everybody wants and reselling them. But like, you're not going to, if someone tries to get into your account on like Christmas Day and you celebrate Christmas, you're probably going to miss it. There's so many like little moments I can think of. I'm like, oh yeah, that would be hard to remember to look at your email during that time. So what did we see happen during the game?
We did see a definitive increase in activity. Hackers didn't seem to be avid sports fan. We have some interesting telemetry that we're going to show later. You're just going to have to trust my word for it. But you could literally see like an increase after Super Bowl started. a bit of a dip in the break, and then the traffic started ramping up again and decreasing after Super Bowl has finished, with like, let's say, a tail before and after the event, where people have been like trying to access accounts and try to crack them.
Right, right. So do you know how many accounts we were able to protect?
The ballpark estimate would be tens of millions of accounts that were like safely protected by the human products.
Mhm. Wow. Just a ballpark of tens of millions.
Yeah.
That's a valid ballpark. And like, were there any spikes in activity? Like, and what could have caused those spikes?
Yeah. So you go.
All right. So we see an increase in the Super Bowl just as the ramp up and ramp down happen. Hackers seem to be capitalizing on one of America's favorite pastime, right? Game nights. So they, as I've mentioned before, they are trying to monetize the fact that people's attention was somewhere else and that all of their accounts are literally ripe for the picking, ready to be plucked out and drained for all of the money.
Right. So I guess now we're at the present, the aftermath of the Super Bowl. What have you guys been seeing now that the game is over?
Well, the marketplaces have been drained of accounts. The breaches have happened. The platforms that haven't deployed any like comprehensive ATO or credential intelligence system will be seeing a big increase in the number of support tickets with users locked out of their accounts, funds missing. So let's say it's like the aftermath of a battlefield, unless you deployed any ATO protection or any kind of other solution.
Right, right. I feel bad for those support people right now. Pour one out for them. So is it over now? Do we like no longer need to worry about this?
No, we definitely need to worry. Yeah, so Super Bowl is over, but there's many other big sporting events in the horizon. Right now, I guess the one that comes to my head is probably Paris Olympics, but I'm sure there's like some Champions League or something happening here in Europe that's has the same conditions as the Super Bowl. And this time, the attackers will already be equipped with all the information they scraped and they tested on the Super Bowl. So now they know that these accounts, they have this phone number, they have this PII, they have this password. So, and they also know that these accounts don't work at all. So they will be able to optimize and resell these exits and so on. So we'll likely see the same type of schemes happening on these next sporting events. Yeah.
Right.
In addition, the same modus operandi can be used for other platforms, like banking apps. So if hackers have compromised your account on one platform, you will most likely be compromised on other ones. We always need to double check the platform where we type our credentials, credit card numbers, and other sensitive information. I mean, if it happened for Vitalik Buterin, they hacked his Twitter account, yes, and more than 700,000 US dollars got stolen from that hack. So if it happened to him, then what can we say about us mortals, you know?
Exactly.
Very real. So yeah, I think the moral of the story here for all of us is like this. Yes, the Super Bowl is a heightened time. It's a hype event, for instance, but this can happen really anytime, anywhere, on any account. And like we kind of just all need to stay a little vigilant, as well as companies stay vigilant on what their protections are. So this series is called Show Me the Money because sometimes we forget about why fraudsters do these things, and it's always for the money. We've been talking a lot this particular session about the actual money behind this. It is the main driver. So I guess, like, in summation, how do fraudsters make money during big events like the Super Bowl?
So for first, there's the free publicity. So although they can make a phishing email that only works for 1% of the population, but if there's a lot of people looking, they might get a little bit more money out of that. In another thing to take in context is there's a lot of money moving around. People are eager to buy access, to bet on their teams. They're likely to click on stuff. So there's a lot of opportunity for the attackers here. Another thing is particular to the Super Bowl and these sporting events. It's slightly easier, let's say, to take money out. There's several schemes that they can leverage to take out and cash out these accounts. So there's more conditions to like motivate and promote the attackers to go after these events. So yeah, that's pretty much.
They have been preparing, like people have been preparing their account, right, for the Super Bowl. So as I said, the fruits have grown. They're like plump red and ready for the picking. And now let's see who gets first to the money. You to deposit them in your account, or the hackers to deposit them in their account.
Oh, wow. That is a really good way of putting it. So should we move on to some data that you guys found and some graphs, if we will? All right, let's go.
We've got some really neat info from our threat intelligence system. You can see right here how hackers are more interested in the sports betting platforms and ticketing platforms during Black Friday. Then it ramps down a bit, and then it starts ramping back up again, just as the Super Bowl is about to hit. There's a fairly uniform distribution throughout the marketplaces, the graph on the right. And if you dig down into it, you kind of have the same distribution as the one down, like across all of the platforms, like the one down below, where you can see like a nice graph with 781 hits of mentions only for one platform, which was a smaller platform. We found hundreds of thousands of adverts for accounts, of people trying to buy accounts, and so on and so forth. And this was only on Telegram. If we move over to the next slide, we're going to be seeing the Discord side of things. And it's pretty interesting because Discord has a more granular, some more granular information, as you have both servers and channels. And you can see right here that the hype started before Black Friday, and it continued all throughout up until the Super Bowl, where it started like to calm down just as the Super Bowl ended. And if you look on the right at the percentage of the mentions, you can see that the blue bar is for selling, right? And you can see that the number of accounts on the market literally started dropping after Black Friday. I guess it was Black Friday for the hackers as well. Like huge discount, get your own free accounts over here. Yeah. And like the supply dropped really hard. And we're seeing this as well when we started like looking into the actual platforms and what they were selling, the platform after the Super Bowls, we have at least one instance where the attackers have been able to sell tens of thousands of accounts, and like there's literally nothing to sell right now.
Wow.
Everybody bought the accounts.
I have a question for you, Gabby, a clarifying question. So when you talk about like the adverts for this, you're talking about like the advertisements that fraudsters are putting up to advertise the amount of accounts they have, right?
Yes. Everybody's like, hey, I want to sell 10,000 accounts on bigticketingplatform.com. Please contact me. Or, hey, I want to buy 10 accounts for this booking website, and so on and so forth. So, and there's a whole black market. Imagine like the Wall Street floor back in the day where everybody was shouting, selling, and buying. This is what we're seeing right now on platforms such as Telegram, Discord, and Tox.
Gotcha. Should I go to the next one?
Yes, please. This is an example for betting platforms. You can, so if you look closely, you can see that we've got a, we plotted two axes, like to informate the amount of accounts for sale and the price for the accounts, and the size of the bubble is the actual balance inside that bubble, right? So you can see that we've got, for example, it's in nerdy logarithmic scale. I'm sorry, but otherwise it would have looked really, really ugly. So if you look right here, we've got 10 accounts for sale for $100 that have $9,000 balance.
Wow.
So like that's instant like 90x, right? This is how the big money is being made. You can look, like we've got a cluster in the upper right corner of accounts that have a couple of $1,000, and there's literally thousands of them that have this much balance. And then you've got like the chaff that I was telling you about, like, I don't know, 7,000, 8,000 accounts that have like $20 inside. Another batch that might have $200, although at that price, I think people are getting scammed. And down in the middle, let's say the meat account is like hundreds of bucks being sold for like $15, $20. And then we've got the ticketing platforms over here, and you can see it's not that bad because there's not like so many avenues to make money as for betting. We've got a couple, like 100 accounts that have a few $1,000s in there, like lower ranges. We've got like, again, 7,000 accounts that have like $25 or something like that. As you can see, like tens of thousands of accounts on the dark web for sale, a lot of them that have been sold already.
Gotcha.
And now you can actually see when Usher started playing. So we plotted ATO and scraping attacks, and you can see the regular patterns to the left. And as we approach Super Bowl, you can see 2 peaks for each of the half times with a dip. I guess hackers are big Usher fans. I don't know.
Hey, aren't we all? They're only human too, right?
Yeah, right. He's been disrupting their operations. He should play more often. And that's like real telemetry that we're seeing. But anyway, let's move to the mean tweets now. Do you want to do the honors?
Yes. I had a lot of fun of doing this. So what we saw before is the output of our intelligence platform. We're continuously monitoring these markets and trying to understand how the trend is going with the cyber criminals. So we were able to essentially screenshot a couple of the most interesting ones. And yeah, I mean, you see everything from individual users just asking, hey, I want to buy tickets, I want to buy one account or something like that. Guys selling wholesale, like discounted 100 accounts for $5 or something like that. You see people offering service, people looking for hiring people, like, hey, we need somebody who knows JavaScript so we can, bypass this or that. So it's a whole ecosystem around it. So they're not only selling the accounts, as Gabby showed. There's also the need and for the technology to do that. So scripts, tools, access, and all of that. So yeah, it's really interesting to have a glimpse of all of that. You can see on the top a post from Moneyman Bezos. I love that username. Looking for $1,000 easy, selling high quality accounts. So you the same pitch linguistic thing going on here, so it's really interesting to follow. Yeah.
It's so slimy to see something like this. And like also so the audience knows, the boxed out stuff are the actual names of companies. So like they're calling out specific big names in these little messages and advertisements being like, I have X of this actual company's account. So that's what's also just so scary about it, and why we called it mean tweets, because it's mean.
They are also hating on us. Like they're trying to buy like PX bypass, which is we just merged a while ago. So now they're actively trying to attack Human and to find bypasses against us.
Yeah, seems to be a trend in all the stuff. In all the years I've been here, I've seen that a lot.
Yeah, so here is just to put a little bit more context on what happens also before. Where are these credentials coming from? Not to go too deep on it, just to again show a couple of reference on it. So most of the credentials comes from data breaches, large attacks on large companies with a huge volume of users. But a lot of them also come from individual infections, people just clicking on links, installing something on the computer, and then these get sold in the market as well. So you have the three main ones: Raccoon, Redline, and Luma. An excerpt from a government, not a government, but a court case. And on the right, you can see the actual bid on the market. Like, hey, we have this account for $10. We have cookies for Spotify, Mercado Libre, all of that. So if you buy that account for $10, you potentially have access to all of that. So this is another side of the market and how these credentials are moving around and how much money people are making on it. Yeah.
All right.
This again, just the big breaches, just to put there the numbers. I think we didn't show the screenshots there really properly, but again, just how these things go up in the market and how people access them. Spottable was one of them. Hadaway, another one, but the big one this month, because it's only this month, was an NAS API for 1 billion. There was another bigger one, but as far as we understand, it's not necessarily public mainstream. So yeah, so these are just the four big ones just in January. Yeah.
Right. And so I think we also have an example of what this looks like in real time, right? ATO attacks.
Yes. So we set up something more visual. So yeah, we did this for three reasons. So first of all, because it looks cool. Second, because it kind of shows you the whole thing working. Obviously, we made this script, both the script and the site. This is all made by us. But yeah, just to visualize how this thing could potentially happen from the perspective of the attacker's computer. But third, and the most important one, is this is no longer the go to the website, download this tool, and you can attack 5 different websites with no effort. Nowadays, you have to remotely orchestrate the browser. You have to have a tool to scrape the CAPTCHA. You have to programmatically set up a couple of flows necessarily to bypass any defenses. And this is an extremely simple example. But what it shows is, like, from the beginning, well, from many years ago till now, we see a trend of complexity happening, mostly because of companies like us, like Human, where we're putting defenses on this and we're raising the cost of attack. Again, as this is very simple demo, just use case of what we're talking about. Nowadays, we see tools that they're no longer something you download on your computer and run. They're a service you pay for. You go online, you buy it, and that service then contacts other services. So the operators will not make their own CAPTCHA solving service. They'll hire somebody else. They won't make their own phone scamming service. They'll hire somebody else. So it's creating an ecosystem, and it's also raising the price, which is the thing that we're aiming for. We're raising the price of the attack so these things can become inviolable in the future.
Right. Yeah. The more expensive it is to actually make the attack happen, the less money the fraudster makes on the other end. And then is it actually worth it at that point? Well, thank you guys so much for all of this information. I know I learned a lot today. I don't see any questions. If anyone has one, please comment. We can either get to it afterwards or follow up with you separately. But this was really excellent. Do you guys have any other last things you want to mention before we get off of here? Yeah.
Just one. Remember, no counselor harmed in the creation of this material.
No, that's okay. That is a good one. No counts or hearts. Great. Wow. Thank you guys so much. Thank you everyone for watching. Change your passwords as always. I really appreciate everyone who joined. And so thank you guys so much, Gabby and Joelle. I'll see you guys later. Bye,
Thank
y'all.
you. Bye.